a man stumbled upon a massive chunk of gold. He turned to glance at his friend in the distance, hesitating for a moment. But in the end, he decided to call his friend over to check it out together. They pulled out a lighter and started heating the rock. It began to melt slightly, but the color didn't change. They guessed it must be pure gold, worth a fortune. Excited, they grabbed shovels and started digging. They dug and dug, carving out a pit nearly 13 feet wide. Even when the two of them tried lifting it together, it wouldn't budge an inch. They decided to dig even deeper. After another 1.5 feet of digging, they realized it wasn't just a chunk of gold. It was an entire mountain of golds. But here's the problem. How the hell were they supposed to haul a whole mountain back? His friend suggested one of them should head back to town for an excavator, while the other stayed to guard the gold. He argued that he had more experience, so he should be the one to stay. But with so much treasure in front of them, trust was suddenly in short supply. Mike insisted the gold was his discovery, so he had to be the one to guard it. His friend had no choice but to give in, letting Mike stay behind. The next morning, they divided up water and food. Brown took most of the water, leaving Mike with just a satellite phone. He told Mike to stay in touch, then drove off until the car vanished from sight. Mike buried the gold under a layer of sand and rigged a tarp for shade. Finally, he felt safe enough to close his eyes and rest. As time passed, the scorching sun beamed through the cracks. When he woke up, his forehead was already blistered and burned. He forced himself to sit by the gold, even as hunger gnawed at his stomach and pain tore at his skin. The more he stared at the gold, the more uneasy he felt. Eventually, he couldn't help himself. He smashed off a chunk the size of a watermelon. Compared to the mountain, it was nothing, just a tiny fragment. But even that small piece was enough to make him rich for the rest of his life. Another 2 days passed. His skin was rotting from sun exposure, and his food and water were nearly gone. Desperate, he returned to the wreckage of the plane, hoping to find supplies. That's when he spotted a strange, ugly woman walking toward him. Trying not to raise suspicion, he pretended to be a homeless scavenger. He even refused the food she offered. She deliberately slurped her water, torturing him with the sound. As she wandered closer to the camp, getting near the hidden gold, Mike panicked. While she was distracted, he grabbed a shovel and smashed it down on her head. One blow, and she was dead. Panic set in. The gold wasn't his yet, and now he was a murderer. But after calming down, he figured at least now he wouldn't starve. He had her food and water. He had no idea how long had passed when the satellite phone finally rang. It was Brown. Mike broke down, asking how much longer it would be. But Brown said there had been delays and he needed to wait a few more days. As if things couldn't get worse, a massive sandstorm hit without warning. His tarp didn't stand a chance. Blown away in seconds, metal sheets were torn loose, flying through the air. As Mike scrambled to escape, he made sure to grab that chunk of gold. Just as he crawled out, the entire tent collapsed. A dead tree fell on top of him, pinning him down. When he finally came to, he realized a sharp branch had pierced straight through his abdomen. The pain was excruciating. He could barely breathe. But even in that state, he was obsessed with finding the gold. He clawed through the sand, feeling the gold beneath his fingers, and let out a small sigh of relief. Once he regained a bit of strength, he gritted his teeth and yanked out the branch. He was shaking all over, overwhelmed by pain, and soon passed out again. In a daze, he thought he saw someone aiming a bow at him. When he came to, it wasn't a hallucination. It was the woman, the one he'd killed yesterday. No, wait, it wasn't her. This was her twin sister. But Mike couldn't care less about her. His mind was consumed by that mountain of gold. He started crawling toward it. Just then, the satellite phone rang again. It was Brown telling him he was almost there and to guard the gold no matter what. Mike nervously scanned the area and hurried to cover the gold with sand. Then the woman reappeared. He acted like nothing was wrong, even refusing her help. Eventually she left, unable to find her sister. But lurking nearby were wild dogs getting closer and closer. Brown's voice went silent on the other. End of the line. The dogs closed in and Mike had no strength left to fight. They finally pounced, tearing into him. But what truly terrified Mike wasn't death. It was watching himself getting dragged farther and farther away from the gold. What he didn't know was that off in the distance, someone was watching the whole scene through binoculars. It was Brown. He'd been there for 2 days already, camping out with a mattress, a fire pit, and canned food. It was clear as day. He'd planned the whole thing, waiting for Mike to die so he could claim the gold all for himself. As soon as Mike was gone, Brown fired up the car, hauled over the excavator, and grinned as he slid on his gloves, ready to work. But out of nowhere, an arrow whistled through the air, slamming straight into his chest. Just like that, Brown was dead too. Their bodies lay side by side in the desert. And that's where the movie ends.